Hello, I'm Robert, and welcome to my channel, where I talk about everything automated algorithmic trading, or simply algo trading. Today I'm going to cover quite a few different topics in a more informal method. So basically this is going to be a ramble, but it should be an interesting one nonetheless. So let's get started and see where we go. Every year in December, I like to take and look back at the previous year. One, for tax purposes, figuring out if I'm going to owe anything to Uncle Sam, because who doesn't like giving up half their money to the government? Second, but more importantly, what did I do right that year? What did I do wrong that year? What do I need to change for the next year coming in my trading? That's really the whole point of what this evaluation is about. Looking at the market, looking at my trading techniques, looking at how I developed those techniques, and most importantly, what were my expectations for my trading? That really is the most important aspect of the whole process. What were my expectations? Were my expectations realistic or not realistic? That's something that in the last 4 years of my trading I have seen over and over again, is that when people come into the market, their expectations are not realistic. They think they can bring a $100 budget into the market and walk out with $10,000. They think that they can follow these magic videos on YouTube, TikTok, or wherever and turn $20 into $50,000. When in reality, whatever your budget is, a realistic expectation is 1% per year. So think about that. If your budget is $100, realistically, the most you can expect to earn is $1 for the entire year. If your budget is $1,000, then realistically, you can expect to earn $10 for that year. Now that is in the purposes of trading. A realistic expectation that is the benchmark is doing nothing and leaving your money in the bank account. For me, that means every year I will make one single penny for every $10,000 I have in my bank account. So that was my starting point. When I got into trading, that's where I started. Can I beat my bank account? Something that I felt was realistic coming into the market knowing nothing about trading. And that really is just the beginning of how I even got into the market. So let's start really with that. Or I should say, let's take a few steps back. What got me into the market? Why did I start trading? Well, a lot of it was I needed something to do with my time to unwind from the stress of work, to unwind from the difficulties of the real world around me. I had tried many things throughout my life. When I was much younger, I would put $5 a day in the arcade machines. That worked well. I didn't have anything to show with it after about 15-20 minutes, but I had 15 to 20 minutes of fun. As I got older, did the nightclubs, and well, I woke up Monday morning with a hangover. I still despise Monday mornings, but I'm sober about despising Monday mornings now. But that didn't work well either. I've tried models, like building ships in a bottle, RC cars, train sets, fishing. Fishing worked out well in that it got me away from the city, but well, when you live in an environment that's 30 degrees in the middle of winter, that's not really a good environment to be in. But as you can see, all of these things have one thing in common. For all of the enjoyment they bring, however long, there's a cost. You could have fishing, needlepoint, crochet, pottery, painting, RC cars, train sets, jigsaw puzzles. It doesn't matter. Every single hobby has a cost, a natural cost. So for me, in looking for a hobby to help distract my time, distract my mind when I wasn't working, I automatically took into account the cost. If you're a painter or if you're into models, you know that can be quite expensive. I didn't want to invest that much money into my hobby. And having something come back out of my hobby besides a dust collector hanging on a wall or sitting on a shelf or sitting in a closet 4 or 5 months of the year was all that much more a bonus to me. So I figured if I'm going to have an expense, whatever it was that I was going to use to distract my mind from the real world chaos I was living, then I needed to look at what I would be spending, because it would be an automatic cost of that hobby. For me, that is about $40 a month right now, the cost of my VPS. Realistically, that is a small price to pay compared to some of the other hobbies that I had tried in my life. For example, painting, the costs of canvas and paint is over the top. Pottery, again, another cost for clay, the kilns, the glazes, and the paints. RC cars, well, they can be anything from just a few dollars to several thousand, depending upon how elaborate you want to be. Model train kits, same thing. If you really wanted to get into the really nice looking train kits, well, you were going to spend money. Plus, you needed the space, since your train layouts can get quite elaborate. So all of these things, there's a cost. I was going to pay something somewhere. And that's actually what got me into trading. I could take what I already knew, which was programming. I can't draw with garbage. I can't stand fishing because I'm too impatient. The idea of sitting out in the middle of nowhere in a little dingy rowboat or on the side of a beach waiting for a fish to bite just didn't sound appealing. Spending bucket loads of money into RC cars or models or stuff were just dust collectors that would grow and grow and grow. So all of the things I tried in my life, I realized I didn't have the space for all that. Sooner or later, it was just overwhelming, and I ended up having enough of it. So that's where trading came in. Nothing to hang on the walls, nothing to stick on the shelves, nothing I had to dust off regularly. It was a perfect match. Plus, every once in a while, I might be able to get a cup of coffee out of it. That was a bonus. That's what got me really going. And it was something I already knew. I knew how to program. I knew if I did nothing, I could get 1 penny a year for 10,000. So my expectation for knowing nothing was, Can I simply beat my savings account? That's it. Nice and simple. And the answer to that is yes, I can. I can beat my savings account quite nicely. A single trade can bring in 10 to 20 cents on significantly less money than what I need from my savings account. For example, I might have a position that is worth $20, and yet that position can make me 5 cents. If I have a position that's worth $50, I might pull in 9 or 10 cents. In both cases, I've made more than my savings account. For example, with my real money account, I've done 60 trades so far for the month of December. My average profit per trade is 6 cents. So every single trade I've made out of all 60 of my trades, I have beaten my savings account. I have made more money with significantly less exposed. Now, if I were to take this and figure out 12 months, well, 12 times 6, how much money would I make? In this case, $3 a month, 12 times, looking at $36 a year, roughly speaking. Not bad. More than I would make on my savings account, especially when my account only has $750 in it. And of that $750, I'm not using hardly anything. Only 1% of that amount of money. So basically, I have made $3.06 this month on what amounts to $10 of actual usage, not 10,000. So I am significantly ahead of my bank account. And I have chosen a realistic approach, slow and steady. And that is really the biggest issue that people coming into the market don't understand. You have to start out with realistic expectations of what you plan to achieve in your trading. If you think you're going to put $100 in the market and it's magically going to go to the moon and you're going to be able to buy a Lamborghini, no, somebody else is going to be able to buy the Lamborghini because you're going to give them your money with stupid decisions that don't take risk into account. This is a win for me. No, it doesn't pay for my VPS, but it doesn't matter. That's just the cost of the hobby. This does, however, show that I have a technique that I can rely on. I have a technique that over time will be sustainable long term. And I have something that I've learned from in the course of my year. It's not about making money for the hobby. At least it shouldn't be when you start. The very first point of starting algorithmic trading is just to learn not to lose your money. And that's the difference. Algorithmic trading should be thought of as passive trading. That is, you are passively making money even when you sleep. This is not active trading. You're not sitting behind a computer 8 hours a day. You are simply letting this run 24/7, and when opportunities occur, it does it for you. So this is a passive approach. So that would be the next realistic point of view. Is, can I make more from this than I could from a stock, earning dividends? And again, for the amount of money I have invested, yes. For example, if you have a stock that has a 1% dividend, well, it only pays out 4 times a year. And that's still 1% divided by 4, or 0.25% per every 3 months. For the amount of money that I've invested, $10, 1% of that is 10 cents. I've made more. So I've beat my bank account, and I've beat most stock trading dividends. And I've done it with far less risk, because I have less money exposed. So your expectations, sit down, make a list of all the things you want to achieve with your trading. It doesn't matter how wild they are. Retiring, becoming a full-time trader, paying off your house, buying a new car, paying the government half your money in taxes, going on a vacation, saving up for your child's education. Put all of those things down, and then put your budget down. How much money are you willing to risk, full well understanding that you might lose every single penny of it? And then look at your expectations. Find out if what you want to achieve is realistic with what you have. That is really going to be the only way you're going to actually build a trading technique that's going to be sustainable, is by starting out with an expectation of your trading that is sustainable. I chose a very simple approach deliberately, and that approach has worked out very well, and it has seen me through a lot of crazy market conditions. I've accepted the reality of what it means to pay for a hobby, and I have chosen the hobby that is the least expensive, without dust collectors, that brings me the most enjoyment. If you try to go into trading with the intent of being able to live on it, you will fail. You cannot take that mindset in trading until you have developed techniques that work reasonably well, reasonably consistent, and in every single market. All trading needs to start out as a hobby, and you need to learn the risks. Learn your average expectation of return. You need to put aside the nonsense of turning $20 into $1,000, or turning $1,000 into $100,000. You need to accept the fact that you might turn $100 into $101. Not very glamorous. It doesn't paint the picture that YouTube is filled with. And the reality of the market is that very simple, that drastic, that black and white. Your expectations must be centered in reality, or you will lose money. Here is my real money account. I have 10 positions, and I have a whopping $11 at risk. And I have a measly $757 as my balance. And most of the time, this is what my bot does all day long, 24/7. It ticks away nice and slowly as opportunity allows it. Now let's look at the trades I've actually placed and the profits I've actually taken. We can see where I've made purchases, the amount I've purchased, and how much or how many units I've actually purchased. Not a lot, but it fits my budget. It makes sure that I will never overextend myself. And in time, it's a clear, direct, and deliberate methodology that will passively make me money. And here we can see I sold off, how much I sold off, how much I actually earned in that trade. 9 cents on this one trade. I've beat my bank account, hands down on one trade. I can see slow, consistent progress on my balance. I can see realistic expectations of how long it took me to make that sale. How long was I holding something for it to sell off? This is realistic. This is expected. This is what passive trading is about. And all algorithmic trading is passive because you're not directly involved. That's the entire point of the process. You are trusting a machine to trade for you using your money. You are not there doing it yourself, or that would be active trading. You want this thing to do it for you on a regular basis. So for a passive approach, whether I'm sleeping, working, eating, it doesn't matter. It is always there making money. It is always there looking for the opportunities for me in a safe and sustainable approach that has a realistic expectation of working consistently over time. And as we can see here I did great. One trade brought in 16 cents. That's 16 years of profits for a $10,000 balance in one of my savings accounts. I did that in one single trade. So all around a realistic expectation, a realistic point of view of what I wanted to achieve. As you look at your trading, take time to reevaluate your expectations. Are your expectations realistic in light of what the market is really like? Or are they something that's simply not attainable on the basis of real world situations? This is when you really want to take the time. December, when all the money is out of the banks and in people's hands for holiday shopping, vacations, or whatever. It's not in the markets. Take the time, sit down, think about what's going to happen next year. Where do you want your trading to go? Write out your expectations. Rank them by priority. And then take a look at your budget. Are your expectations realistic based upon what your budget is? If you could say yes, you will make money next year. If any of your expectations are not within the realistic attainability of what you actually have for a budget, you're going to lose money next year. Trade safely, trade smartly. Look at what the market is doing. If experts that have been in the market for 30 or 40 years tell you you're only going to make 1% per year, listen to them because they're giving you realistic advice. If you see somebody driving around in a Lamborghini saying that you can make $1,000 a day with just $100 budget. That doesn't happen. The only one making money is them by scamming people out of theirs. Don't fall for that kind of garbage. Take the time to learn the market you want to trade in. Take the time to test, to evaluate, to research, and most importantly, take the time to understand your own financial risk level. Just because you have $10,000 you can put into the market doesn't mean you should. In fact, it means just the opposite. A $10,000 budget means you should go down very small, like what you see here. Very small amounts of money. You're not going to make a lot of money, but you're also not going to take on a lot of risk. If you're using algorithmic trading, you need to think about the risk level in a different approach. If something goes bad when the computer is running, you're not going to be there to save it, which means it could wipe out your whole account. Algorithmic trading is different than you being behind the keyboard placing the trade yourself. Algorithmic trading means the machine is going to be placing countless numbers of trades and you won't be around to even know what's going on. Take a different step in thinking about your approach. Take a more passive step and think about how to divide your budget into worst case situation tactics. Then you begin to see just how profitable this can be in a real world passive income stream that you can then add to on a monthly basis with confidence that it will grow over time safely. And safely is relative because nothing is ever truly safe. Even your bank account, as we've seen over the last 10 years or more, how many banks have collapsed and people completely lost everything they had. So there is no guarantees of safety for your money, but you, as the active participant in your decision-making process, can take steps to achieve a reasonable and safe level of profitability. At this point, I'm going to wrap this up by saying thank you for watching. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please give this video a like. And please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I do answer all of the comments. Thank you.